I'm going to kindly ask, for this one, I need someone who carries the manager anointing to help us and lead us in an opening prayer. Let me kindly ask Pastor Dorcas Magova. Please lead us in an opening prayer.
I thought I was single. Father, we thank you for this awesome morning. We thank you for the good weather, which is very convenient for the marrieds who are still in their homes. Father, we pray that as we are going to run this morning, you will give wisdom that we need in this season to direct our grace. And Father, everyone will be able to take away something that they are going to implement and do and practice and change their marriages. In God's name I pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Dorcas, for the prayer. Thank you all who are logged in. As we all know, it's a very interesting topic. It's a taboo in certain areas, but we know marriages have broken up because of it. We know money has been lost because of it. We know people have lost their titles because of it. So let me kindly invite, if you can help me unmute your microphones, and let's invite Director Grace, who's going to boldly talk about this topic.
It takes boldness.
Director, welcome.
Thank you. Indeed, it takes boldness. I don't know whether it's me who has feedback. Let me just check. But there's some.
You're okay. I think it was Dorcas, but let me also.
Yeah. Okay. You know, in the early years, they would have said that to talk about this topic, you first need to take a dose of warrants before you actually talk about it. But we thank God. Just as a recap, maybe 3 people, tell us what you learned yesterday so that we know that we didn't waste our time. It was not just vibes.
Receptive desire and how to get receptive desire.
Okay. Maybe if you're shy to talk, you can type in the chat. Then, Chairman, you can read for us.
I can see some things in the chat already. What is my signal? I think signal is what someone learned.
The signal had better be for both of you, not for only you. Because you'll signal yourself and die of frustration. What else?
I think people are trying to talk about, yes, someone said signal 89, another person says having codes in case you have kids around. Yes, signal, I think signal are standing out for many people.
No one remembers ice cream.
Someone also said scheduling is important to make sure they are not deprived. Little things cement the relationship, yet some of us focus on the huge. That's from another person.
Okay.
Then say how to know if the other person wants.
Yeah. Okay. Good enough. Let's push for today, into today's lesson. I like that 2 to 3 times is on average good student. So, like we said yesterday, that 79% of people are not on the same page, and the stereotype that men have higher drive is really a stereotype. It's not true. 24% of women actually want more sex than their husbands, and sometimes that leaves the husband thinking, what is wrong with me? And it's a challenge as a couple. Even after I've talked about this, I don't think you'll go back home and say, you know what, let's talk about this monster. You still feel shy, and both of you will look at each other sheepishly and not talk about it. And it is okay, but that the conversation begins. You may not talk about everything today, but the conversation should begin. And if we both have a need, and if both of us know that we need to increase, then let's be able to talk about it. Something I found very, very shocking, but maybe the women may confess to us and tell us that 31% of women actually experience painful sex, at least by the third time of having sex. Every other 3 times, there will be a painful sexual experience. And who would want to have sex when it's painful? I don't think that any man on this call would want to have sex if it's painful, but I'm told that 31% of women actually experience painful sex. And you may not know that your spouse is having painful sex. It's a gentleman who was married for 22 years. And only in the 22nd year was he able to hear his wife confess that all along, the frequency of pain was there. There was pain, not every time, but there was a high frequency of pain in the interaction. The issue would be, I need to mute someone. I don't know who I need to mute. Timothy, let me mute you. And can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Yes, we can.
Okay, wonderful, wonderful. And the interesting news is now to the men, 100% of you, 100% of men will have erectile dysfunction. It is just a matter of time, but it will come when everything stops at 6:30 and never goes to 6:45. That is nothing to do about time. What I've said is nothing about time. But if you have understood, you have understood. Everything stops at 6:30 and nothing goes to 7:15. Now, the issue is that the way we should approach this topic is we are talking about it so that we learn, so that we know and behave much better. There's a verse in the Bible, Matthew 10, verse 5 to 8. But at the end of it all says that freely you have received, freely give. Freely you have received, freely give. You did not buy that part to really titrate to your friend and give miserable portions to your friend when you know you also didn't buy it. So really, freely you have received, freely give. It is scriptural. I am quoting scripture today, hello. And for the women out there, it is to know that the men are looking forward to hearing from you. And 87% of men have words of affirmation as their love language. The man is waiting for you to tell him that he is the one, he makes it, he is, you know, what you have done to me. Yeah. My back is even aching. That will spur him into buying a plot of land and other things that you have been struggling and praying and putting anointing oil over. But if you know, now that you know that 87% of men have words of affirmation as a love language, then what are you going to do about it? It also takes, between arousal and orgasm, for a man, it takes about 5.9 minutes, about 5 minutes, and we are done. But for women, it takes about 14, 15 minutes, which is about 3 times. So also timing and how long you take in the arousal stage really also matters and will dictate how enjoyable the whole experience is. At the back of this whole thing, your man and the men on this call, the man is asking himself and waiting to hear from you that you are good at what you do. You are good at what you do. Even what you do at work, that you're good at it. Mind you, I think let's take this a little bit seriously than joking on the chat. You will suffer, and the pains and tears of marriage, hard marriage, are real. The man is waiting to hear that you are good at what you do, whether in bed or at work. Men naturally feel already inadequate. And your man is a little boy yet to be found out. He fears that one day he'll be busted and found out that he's a little young boy. And that painful, that small feeling of being a boy kind of never goes away. And you'll either reinforce it or help him man up. There's a guy in Nigeria who committed suicide. The woman just jokingly told him, and this is jokingly, that your thing is like this, and pointed at her small finger. And the guy went away and committed suicide. If you are a lady, the equivalent is this. If the man tells you that, so honey, I just said that you needed to lose 5 kilos, how would you feel? And the woman always is asking herself, am I beautiful? She's always asking herself, and that question has never gotten away from women's head. They'll die with it. And many women are actually convinced that they are overweight by default. And she'll be like, I want to lose weight. And you're asking her, what do you want to lose? Or what is this? What is it that you want to lose that I don't see? And she's always wondering, is somebody going to love me? And will he love me today and tomorrow and the other day? In conflict, this was amazing when I found it out. In conflict, even when she's annoyed, she wants you to move actually closer. For the man, he's thinking that when I'm angry, you need space. Let me give you space. And you have your space that you need. When you're good, when you're done with the tears, tell me and let me know, and I'll come back and we talk. Kumbe, the woman needs for the guy to move closer. The other thing is, for a guy, if he helps you with chores and he does them badly, please do not correct him. Some women like to correct. They are like my mother. But I did not marry my mother. And please, if I do the dishes and I do them badly, still commend me for having done the dishes. And then you can redo the dishes later. There's a next day rule which says that, is this thing going to matter the next day? And if that thing is not going to matter the next day, then kill it. It's not worth hovering over. Men are easily offended. Men are easily offended, okay? And this is how you mess it. Men exaggerate things that they do not have. They exaggerate the money they don't have. So when a man is telling a story and he says, you know what? Then we went and found our 5 friends there at the party, and yet there were 2 friends. Do not correct him at that point. Your way of high justice, high truth will not cut it. It will cut him down, and he will really feel small. If you now go to high justice, high truth, you remain alone and you remain single. So when I'm telling a story and I exaggerate the number of people who are there at the party, just leave me flow. First, leave the truth aside. In other words, as a man, you're asking yourself whether you actually measure up. And as a woman, you're asking yourself whether you actually are lovable. So let's dive now into something that I wanted us to talk about today. I hope that section has been clear. So there is something, there's something called sex. Okay, you have expectations and then you have sex. So there are sexpectations in sex, but we call them sexpectations. And there are a couple of them, and I wanted to run through them and I'll give you an overview. So there is one of the expectations that we have is that sex will be easy and it will happen often. Ladies and gentlemen, sex is not easy and it won't happen as often as you think. People are not easily aroused and they do not go anywhere, anytime without foreplay. No emotional connections. It is not a get on your marks, get on your mark, get set, go. Far from it. It is good to know that it takes time to actually have foreplay and drive your friend to actually climax. Sometimes the expectations that you'll actually mourn together and groan together and fall asleep entangled in each other's arms, that won't happen. That is only in the movies, and you may be startled when that doesn't happen. There's something I read in a book that said that this couple had a child, and when they had a child, 6 weeks later, they wanted to try it out again. And by the time they did, by the time they were done, there was breast milk all over the guy's face by the end of the session. So it is not as you see it on the TV, far from it. And the other expectation is that sex is primarily for the man. Now, the issue is sex is not primarily for the man. If you do it that way, then you will have missed half the point. And the challenge is with our tradition that makes it look like it's for the man. That is why the man will say, do you say Mpako? Because now we feel that you own it and you are the one who should give. That is wrong. And again, if you think that if you think that you're the lady and then you own the sex and you give me as and when you want and how you titrate and dose me, then you think that you'll take it too far than what it should be. The other one is people think that sex will fizzle out. My idea is that sex will not actually fizzle out with time. People think that as you grow older, the sex will actually die out, and so everything will be at 6:30. It won't be. People have actually found that when the children move out, now you look at each other and you're like, Nankiwe, yeah, and things happen. So it is good to expect, and you'll get what you have actually expected. And couples in their 60s are actually reporting better sex than you guys who are in your 20s and thinking you are the thrill of life. No, you're not. The other you guys first leave me alone. The other expectation is that I'll always be in the mood for sex. It has been noted that if you are both of you to wait for each other, you'll only have sex twice a year. If you wait for each other's mood, mood can be actually generated and brought about. There is an angle to that where people have grown up in an over-spiritualized environment. And so you have been told sex is bad, sex is bad, sex is bad, sex is bad. And then 20 years later, you're told now go have sex. And that wiring in your head has never left you. And coupled with that is the notion, now this one is in Christian circles, and I found it in the research by Christians, that many people actually then think that since I kept myself pure for 25 years, so sex is going to be very easy for me. So God should reward me by making sure that every time I just have orgasm upon orgasm upon orgasm, the O still doesn't come. You get frustrated that sex is actually work. And indeed, it is work. The other expectation is that people think that sex will be explosive, that you just, if you've had prior sexual experience and you think, you know what, we shall go to the ceiling, go to the kitchen, go to the bathroom, go to the floor, go on the mattress, in the balcony, outside, in the car, then it doesn't work out that way to your spouse. Don't give up and don't give in. Don't give up and say, it hasn't happened the way I used to have it when I was still a single guy. Now, this is not working out for me. The issue is no one wants ordinary. No one wants an ordinary car. No one wants an ordinary someone. No one wants an ordinary church. Then you also shouldn't settle for just ordinary sex, and we can move and notch it a little bit higher. The other one is that people expect that sex will be problem-free. But every couple has issues. There are some who have premature ejaculation. There are some who have low sperm count. There are some who have pornography as a problem. Some of them have painful sex. Some of them have infidelity and feelings of rejection. Whichever one it is, you'll find that you have to work it through in order to have a very good sexual experience. And some people expect that sex will last for hours. Baby, it won't last for hours. This thing of like, we shall start at 10 p.m. up to 6 a.m. won't happen. So just know that the average sexual experience actually is between 6 minutes and 13 minutes. Yeah, between 6 and 13 minutes. So it is better to not expect your thing to go on up to when you hear the birds chirping outside. It won't happen. You'll be done in a few minutes, and then you'll be sorry. Lastly, maybe as we land this plane, sex must be mastered, and indeed you get better with time. There was a couple that went for counseling and was wondering why they were having less sex, but the counselor told them, have more sex, and the more sex you have, the better it will become. So the more you have, the more you like it, and it's a muscle that can actually get better with use. It doesn't get better by parking it in the garage. And the thing that I have to end with is that sex is not just about sex. There is more about sex than sex. Sex was God's way of helping us join together, enjoy each other, forgive each other, and become better. But sex is more inside than outside. It is much better to look at it inside out. And it is one way that will help you understand your spouse much better. You become a better lover the more you practice it. And the more you touch and touch and touch and say, let me touch your foot, let me touch your toe, let me touch your ear, let me touch your mouth, let me touch everything. Today has bombed, don't worry. If it's not great today, tomorrow we shall start from there. And look at sex from the point of a giver, not a receiver. Go to give, not to receive. So don't be like me today. You go to give, not to receive. Ladies and gentlemen, let's have some questions. Thank you so much. Chairman Wu.
Oh, thank you so much, Director. I can see the activity on chat. Many people are saying, thank you, thank you. If you have any question, please raise up your hand. Director, there's some few questions from chat already. Someone is saying, what's foreplay? We think maybe you can comment on those. Then there's someone who gives a special greetings to singles on this call.
That was the one was asking what is foreplay. He is a Mchiga. He just thinks like, wait, just pass here and we go. I know him, but I will spare him for now. Just things like you just say Pitako and off you go. Oh, wait, Chuka.
I can see people are scared of raising their hands, but
scared of asking. Let me tell you, you know, even in the Christian circles, actually, the research was done, and you know how they did it. People had to change their Zoom names and switch off their video. So you can write like mango tree, and that is how people really come out and mention all this stuff. I could go on and on. Me, I have my data here. If there's no question, I can.
The people want breakfast with Director Grace.
A one-on-one breakfast. Ask questions. Don't die in your movie.
This is my question, Director Grace.
Yes,
I would like you, thank you very much, first of all, for this presentation. I think we think more about this topic than we talk about it. So thank you for demystifying it. My question is, please draw correlations between great sex life and productivity, especially in the business setting, so that you can encourage the wives of businessmen to help them get more productive at work. Thank you very much.
Director, before you answer that question, I would also put another question so that you could probably answer too. Director, we're losing you. Director, are you there?
Okay. You
We shall wait for him.
You have time. Eh?
I'm not going anywhere. I'm here to stay.
I'm back.
Okay, Director.
We're planning break for you,
Yeah.
Director.
We still have time.
Director, maybe I can ask, as before you answer Kamara's question, a second question, yes? Please comment about sex and relation to busy people. There's a saying that the extremely productive people, maybe in business or work, do not have great sex life. And many times they say women are forced to look for the people who sleep in the gym to try and make up for that lack of sex drive from especially business people who are building businesses. I don't know if you can speak to that. And I think that applies for both men and women.
Actually, Cindy, to the contrary, business people love sex, and they love lots of it. And I'm going to join that with Kamara's question. So this is the thing. A man's testosterone, that hormone that makes him go like, and by the way, for the women who are here who don't know testosterone burns from the head to the back of to the end of your back. It is like a fire. It is like putting your spinal cord on fire. And many of you may not have experienced it, except the men who are on this call. So the burning of testosterone, and his testosterone peaks in the morning. And when he has sex in the morning, he feels like a king, like a lion going out to roar. For the man, when he comes from work, when he goes to work, maybe let me start from there. He goes and he's beaten. The world canes him, beats him, and wallops him. And when he comes back home, that is why a home should be a safe place. And your bedroom should be a place of, rejuvenation, reassurance, and a topic for another day. Some people say you should never solve your problems in the bedroom, because the bedroom is supposed to be a place for fun. But this is the thing. When he comes back home, his boss abused him. He didn't send the report. He didn't put things right. Money jammed to come through. The guy who promised to send him money didn't send him money. Payroll is due. Rent is due. And so everything ends at 6:30. When he comes to home, he expects actually to have a lot of fun. Now, when he has sex in the morning, it is like you flagged him off, like, go win. Like how they flag off what? Araleka. Like, who? John Mwesigwa. John Mwesigwa, woo! And John Mwesigwa takes off to go and win in the world. The utter action of releasing is powerful, and that is why when the man really climaxes, he becomes like useless, like, it's done. I'm finished. So it is important that you flag your man off every day. Go work. If you're married to a preacher, go preach. Let him go and preach the word of the Lord with power. But flag him off from home with power. And you have the gift. I've told you, I have a scripture, Matthew chapter 10, verse what? 5 to 8. Freely you have received, freely give. You did not buy that part, and it won't waste away. And if you keep it, what will it do? Will you get 2? No.
Yes. Okay. Director, 2 more questions before we close off. I know time is fast spent, but I'm just speaking to these 2 questions. There's a question of rounds. How many rounds?
Yeah.
And there's the next question. There's a misconception that some people, okay, I don't know if it's a misconception, that some people from certain regions like sex more than other people from other regions. I don't know if you can talk about those 2.
There are questions in the chat.
The way people are active today.
Actually, those who were flagged off this morning, mutukubireyo kajambo, like, send us greetings.
Okay, I don't know if I was being on mute, but Director, there are 2 more questions I'd asked. I don't know if it had been asked, but I see our time is fast spent. I don't know if we shall have session 3 or what's your...
We have the time.
That's it. They hasn't given people time to.
But we have Friday. We can be back on Friday and wrap up. But we have to end because you have to go and work. Let me tell you, even sex is not enjoyable on a hungry stomach. You may be thinking your spouse doesn't like sex. Kumbe, you don't provide what? Food. So put food on the table and everything will flow very well. But let me talk about rounds. Should it be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, whatever you want to have? I think that sex is not a chore. It's not a performance for you to prove. Gone are the days when you say, you know what, let me show you until you limp. That won't cut it. So have as much as you're able to and remain sane to be able to work. In other words, you won't have, it is now 7:30, you have another round, and then you go and doze off up to 10, you'll have no job. So have enough to allow you to go and work and remain sane and sober and not sleeping. But also give as much as possible, and then you will establish what is safe for you. But most people have 1 because it is not for eating and finishing. I think that's a scarcity mentality. If this person is here, then have 1. If necessary, you can add another one in the morning and go and work. But don't be like a jobless person who goes to the gym, the one Cindy was talking about, the one who has all the time and all he has is just what? Sex. So eat, the food is here to stay. Eat, live. In fact, the more wealthy you are, the more you eat a bit and know that you will find the food when you come back. So eat as much as you want, but to remain sober and sane for you to be able to do your work.
Thank you so much, Director. I beg we end here. Maybe, Director, I'm not fit enough to close us off based on this topic. I'll just ask you to close us off.
Okay, let me explain. The aim for this topic really was to educate. Okay, my hope is that one person like this has had their frustration solved, and now they are on their way not to die silently and not to really say, me, I don't want, she doesn't want, or he doesn't want, or he wants too much. Is to kind of have an agreement on how things can work. And by the way, let me end with this, which I found out just maybe about a month ago in the book called Love by Gottman Institute. I found out this, that you can actually make an ask and say, you know what? Today is what? Today is Tuesday. you can say, I'm requesting that on Friday, on would you be kind enough on Friday to do for me something? And it can be an ask. And that ask is not just only sex, but something that is personal to you. You could even say, you know what, if you don't mind, on Friday, could we shower together? I'm not saying we should shower together every day, but on Friday, it would be good for me if we shower together and if you rubbed my back. You can make an ask that is meaningful to you and doesn't mean that you should always do it that way. Other than that, God bless you. We'll be back on Thursday. Have a wonderful day. Go and work and make money. Have fun while you do it and don't be a martyr. Bye-bye.